People who live in communities where corona isn't taken seriously, what has it been like? Pretty normal, except with like obstacles added in. For example, stores have implemented all sorts of things, like one-way aisles. However, since like 2% of people care, nobody pays attention, and somehow everyone ends up closer than they would have if the aisles would have just been normal. A lot of people don't wear masks, but on occasion you'll see someone in a mask, gloves, with their phone and other belongings in a Ziploc bag to keep them from being contaminated. Oddly enough, those are typically the people that get avoided like the plague. Oddly enough, those are typically the people that get avoided like the plague. Well, if I'm getting what I want either way, greater than avoided like the plague, we need to change that phrase. It turns out humans don't do that. A lot of people in my circle seem to think wearing a mask is complete and utter submission to the government. Trying to explain the difference between the willing adoption of rules versus government control can be a bit of a chore. They typically respect my view though. In my personal life I have not met a single person who has gotten the virus. Nor do I know anybody that does. That being said, mask and hand sanitizer are just easy. Why not? I carry a backpack to work, so I can carry a bottle of hand sanitizer and a couple masks. I wear the mask whenever I'm around people, and slap on some hand sanitizer whenever I think about it. If this stuff even has a 1% effectiveness, and get this back to life as usual any sooner, I am down to do something so easy. Greater than if this stuff even has a 1% effectiveness, and get this back to life as usual any sooner, I am down to do something so easy. This is what I don't get. It's so easy to just wear a mask and not gather indoors. If someone told me wearing a cloth mask in public, with no social stigma attached, for 1.5 years would save one single person's life, I would do it. You not wearing a mask can be the difference between a nursing home full of people 2 towns over dying horribly or them all being fine. It could be the difference between someone getting to see their grandchild before they die. It could prevent lifelong lung scarring for someone. You can ensure you're not part of the chain of transmission. These people deify our soldiers for their sacrifices to keep us safe from people 5,000 miles away, but aren't willing to sacrifice 4% of their comfort in some social gatherings to actually keep us safe. Drives me crazy. I don't even engage anymore. I can't have a normal conversation with them and refuse to argue. Facts don't matter. Common sense doesn't break the seal. And just common courtesy is a negative. I just can't anymore. I'm in Florida. RIP. Hell, to be honest, 2 months ago my girlfriend had to fly to her home state for a few weeks for a family emergency. She was tested positive for the virus and has been in a hospital for over a month. She's 800 miles away, so it's not like I can go visit her. And the hospital makes her sleep constantly, so I haven't heard from her at all in 3 fucking weeks. Her family won't fill me in on how she's doing, so I am completely in the dark. I don't know what's going on. I don't know how she is. I'm just fucking scared and I am losing my mind and I just want her home. And on top of that, I started working again and the virus is literally the only thing everyone talks about. But because it hasn't really hit here or in the neighboring towns, everyone is just so fucking smug and shit about it. It's not that bad. It only affects the old people. This is all a joke. My girlfriend is 28 years old and she could possibly die from this, and you're treating it as if it's a fucking joke. I am so lost. Makes me sad to hear. All the best, fellow Redditor. I live pretty close to a grocery store in a neighborhood where about 1/3 of the people shopping or working wear a mask. I'll see families with multiple adults and kids shopping maskless, as if nothing has changed. I now drive to a different store 15 minutes away, because it's in an area where people are taking mask wearing more seriously. Interesting that there can be that much difference in mindset only 15 minutes away. I'm curious if there's any big difference in the grocery stores. They are both the same chain, Kroger, but the farther away one is in a neighborhood where the houses are more expensive, 2 to 3 times what they cost on my street, and the closer one is near a lower income, predominantly minority area. Sadly, it's an illustration of how institutional discrimination manifests itself in society. The stores in the wealthier neighborhoods sell more of the higher-end products, so the company makes more money from them this year. That means they are more willing to invest in better workers, raise their standards for health and safety, and hire management who can focus on mandating mask usage rather than spend their whole shift arresting shoplifters. Prior to COVID-19, I always tried to shop in the closer store. But now that it's a health issue, my desires to protect my family outweigh my loyalty to the neighborhood. Arizona took it seriously for about 15 minutes. Then our governor met with the idiot, who encouraged him to reopen in early May. He lifted most restrictions, and mask use went from 80% to 20%. Today we're a mess. Masks were just made mandatory. But at this point it's like throwing deck chairs off the Titanic. Your governor met with Greg Abbott. Hello neighbor. There is more than one idiot. Abbott is just one of many. It's been like watching one of those movies where you go, all of these people can't be that stupid. Why would they do X? That's crazy and unrealistic. And then remembering I live in South Carolina and all of these people are in fact that stupid. I live in the UK and despite being in lockdown for 3 months, people are just abandoning the rules lately, with shops reopening and pubs opening soon as well. My husband and I recently went to the South to pick up some items from storage. We were in Alabama and Georgia. We live in Chicago where they're very strict most places and have a person at the door making sure you wear a mask. I'll be the one to say it. Other than store employees, who mostly had them pulled down on their chin anyways. We were the only white people with masks on. This happened in 3 different Publix, a Kroger, and like 4 gas stations. It's all fun and games until you have corona. My hubby's coworker got it. Did not change a thing. It wasn't super severe, so now he's even more unbearable. I tried to explain that it affects people differently, but now he truly thinks it's all fake since he didn't have to stay in the hospital or die. Still won't wear a mask and still won't try to even take steps to care about the health of others. My parents, Trump supporters, have spent months making jokes about the virus and people wearing masks. My dad calls it the scamdemic. Last weekend they took a trip to Iowa to visit family. On their way home they get a call from one of my cousins that she was exposed to corona and they may have because they didn't social distance. Now they've had to get tested and are so far negative, but they're taking things more seriously now. I live in Texas. Our governor and LT governor haven't taken this seriously since the beginning and we're one of the states seeing record numbers of cases. I work for a group home for men with mental disabilities, so I've had to take this seriously since the beginning, and my guys have been stuck in the house since mid-March. They're going stir crazy and chances are because of idiots they aren't going to be able to go out anytime soon. They haven't been able to see their families, go to work, go to the movies, go to Walmart, or participate in Special Olympics events. Internal scria monsieur, can we give you money to buy them new board games or something? I'm gonna need an action item. This one made me cry. Don't cry. These guys are spoiled as hell. They have everything they could need or want. We were playing Jenga yesterday. We've got a game of Monopoly we're in the middle of. We have binders full of movies and I have Amazon, Hulu, Netflix, and Disney Plus I can cast to the TV. We've done water balloon and water gun fights. They were going to ambush me with Nerf guns one day when I came in, but the shift before me warned me and I ambushed them. We color music trivia on the Google Home. We keep them as busy as we can, but seeing the same walls day in and day out is starting to get to the monsieur. Edit. I forgot to add that the local fire department brings them all gifts every Wednesday and a house gift, usually a board game, every Thursday. It's like watching people put A1 ranch and ketchup on a well-done steak. Incredibly lonesome. Southern Arizona resident here. Most don't give an F. They think it's over-exaggerated going to get killed by the sun. Oh, the irony. Restaurants and bars were always packed, until they got shut down a couple days ago again. It just sucks now because our hospitals are at 100% again and we're probably going into another shutdown because of these selfish idiots. We have a lot of old folks down here. On a side note, it does seem like people are taking the mask thing seriously now. Granted, our county made it mandatory, but 2 weeks ago it was like 20% of mask wearers. Now it's about 90%, so I'm starting to get hopeful. I just really wanted to start school in the fall. The whole purpose of my program was for networking. Now, because of selfish idiots, we're probably going to be online. It's business as usual here in Alabama. Stupid redneck fucks can't be bothered to wear a fucking mask. People in my town don't care that much. But ever since one kid got it, they've been taking it more seriously. But then the bomb threat made people go to the park more, on the basis that they couldn't go yesterday, so I'm going to go today, when they never had plans to go anyway. TN here. Everyone bitching about it hurting their rights. Got stuck in a cluster of church folk trying to get out of a restaurant. I was grabbing some takeout. They were bumping into me and each other without a worry. The other day, leaving the gym, had an old lady stumble up to me with a church pamphlet, get right up in my face and breathe all over me. Every time I scooted back, she crawled closer. Didn't have a mask on either. Gym was mostly empty, and I won't lie, I'm not working out with that on my face. Just held my breath while she went on and prayed to whatever deity would get this crazy woman off me. Walmart has directional lines, but no one pays them any attention, and I see groups of people huddling everywhere. I do see some masks, mostly just employees. It is really annoying. Trying to convince others that this is dangerous and is real is like trying to convince someone that is on fire that they need to be put out. It's a tale of two cities here in the southern US. 90% of white people aren't wearing masks. Everyone else, it's 20 to 30%. Uneducated friends of mine think it's a hoax or a flu. Educated friends are being careful. Most people have a "we're gonna get it anyway, so there's no point in being safe" attitude. Everyone is pretending like it's fine because it's a relatively small town that hasn't felt any impact yet. That and no one young or well-known has died yet here. Every business is careening towards reopening, claiming that DHEC guidelines have allowed them to do so and our numbers have only increased other than weekend dips. None of my younger friends care at all. Like, it's frightening how little they care. One went to Myrtle Beach, a hot spot on the coast of South Carolina, 4 times last month just because. In truth, I am frightened for them, but I know they won't suffer consequences because they're all young and healthy. I'm youngish and have health issues, so I DK where I stand, but I fear for those of us who are being careful. Hopefully they don't suffer consequences. The first double lung transplant was a COVID patient in her 20s with no other health issues. Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.